Welcome to the Voices of Women Summit, brought to you by Kimberly Crow in honor of International Women's Day. We're here honoring women leaders from around the world in celebration of International Women's Day 2021. Please help me welcome your host, Sarah Lawrence. Sarah is the organizer of TEDx Tenaya Paseo, along with Kimberly Crow, is the co-creator of Ignite the Stage, and Sarah's got another amazing guest to share with you. Sarah, take it away.
Man, that intro just never gets old.
I like dancing to it. That was fun.
I know, me too. I always dance. And then I hear it in my head and people are like, Sarah's just dancing. And I'm like, yes, I'm just dancing.
Never give up an opportunity to dance. Life is short.
Right, exactly. All right, everyone who's watching us, welcome to our next interview with Linda Clement. I'm so excited you're here. Before we even started the interview, we were already like talking and running late, which I love. So Linda, welcome to the Voices of Women Summit.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys are putting this on. It's a really neat event. I'm happy to be part of it.
Oh, thank you. We're happy you're here, and it's been extraordinary. This is, of course, Kimberly's brainchild, but anytime I'm given a mic, I'm like, yes, all of that. All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about parents who lead. Before we get into that, could you tell us a little bit about why this became your passion, why this is such an important force in the world?
I created life, obviously, you know, the miracle that occurred. I was personally affronted after my baby was born that there was no national holiday called, and I think almost everybody feels that way. It's like, I am a superhero. This is amazing. And in the early baby phase, when she was, you know, perfect in my arms and still absolutely the most wondrous creation on the entire planet, I ran into a woman who had an 8-year-old she despised, and it stunned me. I thought, how do you get there? Like, how do you get from here to that? And how do you avoid it? Because I'm not going there. So following that, I've actually been reading psychology since I was a young teenager. I thought it was fascinating, the way people think and the things that we understand about the brain and how people develop and learn things. And that really expanded as I was on a quest to find people who loved and liked their kids, and who liked and respected their kids, and authors who liked and respected kids, not just told people what to do about them. So I surrounded myself with people who liked and respected kids, and found a bunch of tools and a bunch of information along the way, and ended up in that position. You know, the kid who always gets asked how to spell anything in school. It was always me anyways. And I ended up being the person that everybody always asked about parenting stuff, even people that I knew whose kids were 10 years older than mine, because I just had way more information than they did. And I found over the years that one of the reasons I'm really into parent education is because there's been a lot of information found and discovered and proven and researched in the last 20 or 30 or 40 years. And it just hasn't trickled down to the parent level. Like it isn't down there. If you ask the thought leaders in psychology about human development, they'll be like, oh yeah, behavioralism is terrible. It doesn't work at all. Like the cop has to stay in the room 100% of the time. And as soon as you turn your back, it's all mayhem. It doesn't teach kids anything. And yet today, brand new graduate teachers are still using stickers and stars. It just doesn't get down to the level of the people who are really caring for the children. So it's my personal quest to change how this generation is raised, and to create world peace through raising happier kids.
Wow. That was amazing. And I want to tell you that, like, I have 6. So I have 6 kids, and yeah. So everyone has that reaction when I tell them that, like everybody. So
I do have one client who has 8 kids under 10, but you know, that's kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, that definitely beats me out. Like that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that everything you said, I totally could resonate with. Like, yes, how do you have this perfect child? And then all of a sudden, you know, you encounter people that are really struggling with their kids like that. I'm like, ooh, I don't want that. And I didn't want that either. And I totally hear you. So tell us a little bit about Parents Who Lead. Like, tell us about your program, what you do, how you help parents really develop this relationship with kids.
I think the really important thing to start with is that everybody loves their kids. And I don't think there's any, regardless of how few tools you have to do this well, I think everybody genuinely loves their kids. They just have absolutely no idea how to convey it. And quite often kids have no idea that their parents do. They might hear it from time to time, but they don't feel it most of the time, because the kinds of things, especially the kinds of mainstream parenting advice that makes kids feel like their parents are just mean or their parents just don't like them. I think it's L.R. Noss who said, kids who are made to feel bad about what they did don't feel bad about what they did. They feel bad about themselves. And I always want to disrupt that. I want to help parents help their kids succeed. And in order to do that, I think there was a really old book called The Winning Family by Dr. Louise Hart. In it, she talks about how important it is to understand that the adults in the house are setting the atmosphere of your home. If there are or are not constant bickering and backbiting and snippy criticism and stuff, that's up to the adults, not the kids. If kids are allowed to have a war every night before they go to bed, you know, that ends up with bruising and torn ligaments and stuff, that's up to the parents, not up to the kids. So I think it's really important for parents to understand that it's your goals that are leading. It's not, you're not here to react to what your kids do. You're here to lead them towards adulthood. And to do that, you kind of need to step up and be an adult, which is hard enough. But it also means that you can't constantly be focused on their behavior, because whenever you're focused on the results of what they were trying to do, rather than understanding their goals and trying to help them meet them, you're focused on the outcome of what they did rather than the relationship that you have. And when you focus on the outcome, all you're doing is reacting to what you think you saw or what you think you understood the meaning to do. And that's almost never what a kid is actually doing. Kids will often say, you know, parents are all dumb because they're constantly getting it wrong. You know, I belted my sister because she'd been poking me in the back with a pen for 10 minutes. I get in trouble for belting my sister, and she's standing in the corner with that little smug smirk on her face going, haha, I got her again. It's infuriating for kids. And it's a really big problem for relationships for adults. If you're constantly finding yourself dealing with behavior, you're not leading, you're reacting. And I think it's really important to understand what you want, where you want your kids to end up, and what you want your family to be like, and to lead that instead of kind of reacting to everything going on.
Wow, that was really, really amazing and insightful. And that has actually been my experience as well. And I've noticed that a lot of times parents do react, right, to the behavior. I know that I stepped up, and I actually realized that. I was like, you know what? I would be mad too. Like, I would legitimately be mad if someone was agitating me and then I reacted, and then I was the one who got the fallback for that. And so I actually started changing my behavior as well, because I started to put myself there. And I noticed that when I shifted, my kids shifted, right? And it's not to say, you know, I also believe that you shouldn't hold kids to higher standards than we hold adults. Like, you know, like if an adult can't do this, maybe your kid should be able to do this. And I mean,
I'm going to comment on that, because in the offer, not the free downloadable, but in the offer at 50% off the ebook, the manual your child came with, one of the pages is actually called "Clean Your Own Windows First." And the parallel that I think people are just completely oblivious to how this comes across. They tell kids they can't swear, and then they swear at drivers in other cars. And to kids, it's not obvious to them, because they can see and hear everything that's happening. So they think everybody else can too. They think that other drivers can hear their parents, and it's obviously totally fine to do that. And then they just don't understand where the lines are. Like, swearing is bad. Swearing at people is totally inappropriate. It's like, well, you were just swearing at that driver.
Yeah.
We don't see how kids see us. And I think that's a really big part of doing exactly what you said, stepping up and recognizing you are being an example. And you can't expect them to be more mature than you are. It's just a ridiculous idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we're like speaking the same language, and that makes me excited, because there's not many people I could like talk about parenting on this level with. I'm like, oh, so thank you for coming and doing this interview with me.
Absolutely. It's totally my pleasure.
So tell us, like, for the person who knows, right? The parent who can see what you're saying is like, ooh, I think I make this mistake. Like, I think that I'm one of those people reacting, right? Self-actualization is always the first step. But then after that, what's some things that you suggest to help change that? Like, how can they start to lead? Like, what is the first foundational step to go forward?
I think it's really important to go back to exactly what we started with. Why are you doing this? Why do you think raising your children well is important? And why are you even considering getting better at it? Because when you understand those things, it's almost always, I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. I don't want my kids to grow up thinking they're bad people. I don't want my kids to grow up being alienated from me. Like whatever those things are, they lead you directly to what it is that you need to do. So figuring out what your purpose and goals are in parenting makes it much easier to figure out whether or not you're going to do something. The constant argument about spanking is one that I just put away. I have nothing to say about it. In my opinion, it doesn't work, so it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You justify it, don't justify it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't help kids grow up to be stable, healthy, productive adults who are confident with high self-esteem. It just doesn't. So don't hit people. Don't do it because it doesn't work towards your goals. It might stop the kid from doing whatever they're doing right now in front of you, probably ever again, but it won't stop them from doing it when you can't see them, and it will have absolutely no impact, no positive impact on themselves as adults.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is you're talking and I can literally hear my 8-year-old right outside my door trying to like move her laundry pile. And I'm like, of course, like this is right now happening. Like
yeah, it has to happen
outside my door. Yeah. Yeah, I think that absolutely though, that's really impactful. So let's say, okay, so we go back to our why, right? Like, why is this important for us? Why do we want to raise the kids in a way that we've felt like we didn't, and it always does. It always comes back to us, right? What is the thing we felt like we didn't get? And even now, I'll tell you that I go into situations and I'm like, oh, this is childhood trauma. Like I am reacting out of childhood trauma. Stop it. You know what I mean? And as adults, we do that, right? So how do we teach our children to not do this and all of that? So let's say we get to our why, right? We understand why we want to raise them. What is like one suggestion you would have, right? For someone who is like, all right, I got my why. I understand why I do this, but I don't know how to change my behavior. I don't know how to like look at this differently between behavior and really leading them.
Okay. I've written 2 other books. One of them I wrote for my sister when she had my niece a really long time ago. And that was based on the Tao Te Ching. It's just rewritten from others. The other one is called Lazy Parenting. And the very first chapter makes my current partner, just giggle every time. She always wants to do the readings because the first chapter is called Do Nothing. And then it's a blank page. Because really what we need to do more than anything else is stop reacting. And a wilderness trainer, like a wilderness rescue trainer, explained once in a seminar that one of the worst things you can do is act right away. Because it's the kind of thing that gets 4 more people electrocuted in the disaster that's already killed 5 people. Because if you run straight in without assessing the situation first, you're probably going to do a lot of damage and you may kill yourself. So in wilderness rescue, the first thing they have to do is assess how the situation actually is and whether it's even safe to go rescue anybody, because you don't put the rescuers in danger. So I've always thought, well, that's a great parallel for parenting. So if you hear a great big huge storm going on in the next room, you walk in and wait until you know what happened before you decide what you're going to do about it. Because it might be that both of them are scared. It might be that something terrible has happened unrelated to the kids and they're both freaking out, or all 6 of them in your case. Mine is a both. You never know what's happening until you actually know what's happening. And parents are very, very quick to react like it's an emergency, way more often than there are real emergencies. So really do nothing, just wait. Wait and wonder what happened before you decide what to do about it.
Okay, so I've been doing this thing all day where I'm like sticky moments, like sticky note moments where you write something down and you stick it on your mirror. That was yours. Like most things are an emergency. Wait and do nothing. Like it's so true. Yeah. So true. And I can't tell you how many times I did react. Like I walked into a situation and I freaked out and I did react. And then I got the information and I was like, well, that was unnecessary. Yes, all of that.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I have to, full disclosure, I did not come at a lot of this information from, I studied it before I had kids. So I found out a lot of this stuff doesn't work by trying it and going, maybe I won't do that again. I found out timeouts were dumb by doing them. no child on the planet is going to ponder carefully their actions that led up to their incarceration. They're just going to want out.
You're not.
I can't think of anything else. They just want out. Like,
Yeah,
that's not
Telly hashtag she's not wrong. Like, yeah. Because the only out of my 6 that I ever did times out was my youngest, ironically enough, because she was always the high spirit, and I was like, I don't know what to do, so I would put her in timeout, but it never worked, like ever. And I was like, it's all like the game changed. It was the whole thing. But yes.
I like time ins. You go with them to calm them down, or you have a timeout. Mommy needs a timeout. A lot of people use the bathroom. Mommy needs a timeout.
Yeah. I put myself in timeout too. Sometimes with a glass of wine. Sometimes like, all right, I just need a hot minute. We're gonna come back to this again. It's not an emergency. Do nothing.
It's probably not an emergency, because the thing is, in an emergency, your body reacts so fast you don't have to think about it anyways, and then it's over. Yep. And then you don't have to do anything about it either. Like, it's over. Okay. And now you can do nothing instead of having that 10 times as freak out because your kids just scared you. Like, doing nothing is really one of the nicest things you can do for a relationship in general, is just take a breath, wait, see if you can get your brain to come back online before you react to anything.
Oh my gosh. I love everything that you're doing in the world, everything you stand for. You have like made my life and my day a little bit brighter. This has been phenomenal. So tell everybody about your downloadable, because it's super cool and I want everyone to opt into it.
This is a blog post that I wrote in 2006. That's how old this is. I have been writing a blog since, I think, 2003, real long time ago. It's called Parents in Stress, also known as Can I Go to Club Med, Please? Because there's a lot of cultural stuff around getting a break and needing a break and getting, holding out until the weekend, and I'll just make it until November when I can go on my cruise. Like, you could go on a cruise at this moment. But the fact is, the hangover from a holiday is about 36 hours. And after that, you're right back in the same stress you were in before, or it's a whole lot worse, because whatever you didn't do while you were gone is still waiting for you. So the idea is to create means and ways of putting the stress release and the rejuvenation and the recuperation and rest into every hour of your day. Instead of waiting till the end of the day when you're completely frantic and exhausted and trying to do all the things and have time and make the kids go to sleep, not the kind of energy that people rest and relax in. And the kids are getting hyped up from you. And you're not going to get any rest because everybody's going to be screaming at 11:30 at night. On the other hand, if you take a break and put your feet up for 5 minutes and do what my grandfather used to do, check your eyelids for pinholes for 2.5 minutes, when you've only been up for 20 minutes, and then you do it again half an hour later, and then you do something else like it half an hour after that, and you do that all day long, you don't get to the end of your day depleted. You get to the end of your day with gas still in the tank, because you've rested throughout the stress. And there's a whole list I think there's 101 things in that article. There's 101 different suggestions from parents of all kinds from all over the place. What is it that you can do in 2 minutes or less that will effectively be a nano vacation?
Wow. All right. So guys, if you are a parent, honestly, even if you're not, grab this. Because I can't tell you how many days, like, I'm at the end of my day and I'm exhausted and my anxiety is high and I'm like out and done. And I will be getting it as well, because I want to know all the different ways I could take little nano vacations throughout the day. And it's genuinely like the coolest thing. Like, what a concept to be able to get to the end of your day with energy in a way that you can show up for your family, you can show up for whoever is waiting for you, any of those things, and you just don't feel like you're waiting for the next vacation. That is powerful. Whether you have kids or not, that is insanely powerful. I work with speakers, but then a lot of speakers, like, they're entrepreneurs, right? Speaking is a tool. So I can't tell you how many speakers and people I talk to, they're like, how do you do it? How do you manage all the thing? And I'm like, okay, listen, it's not actually that healthy. Like, you don't actually want to multitask at this level. It messes up your brain. Like, there's
amphetamines involved. Don't do this.
Yeah, like, I'm trying to pull myself back and everyone's like, ooh, I want to play there. No, you don't. You really don't. It's really not a fun place to play. So
No.
this. Like, can you just hang out with me all day and
Yep.
be like, stop and go rest. Like,
Yeah. You just set a timer on your phone for 20 minutes, and every single time it goes off, you do something for 2 minutes, and then you set the timer for 20 minutes again.
oh, so good. Guys, go into the chat box, opt into the Google form, get Linda's gift, because that is super, super powerful. All right. So do you have anything that maybe I didn't ask you? Any last words for our audience? Any of those things?
I think more than anything, it's really important to recognize when we're feeling fear, because when we make decisions out of fear, we just make a mess. It's messy. We don't think clearly, and we react and do things that are just sideways from our goal. So if you can usually wait for long enough to get your brain back online and think, what would I do to somebody I love in this situation? Instead of, oh no, they're going to end up being ex murderers when they're 30 if they don't learn how to say please when they're 2.5. Mostly it's fear that really makes a mess. So my goal in life is to help good parents become great parents before they become grandparents, because everybody's a great grandparent.
Oh, that was beautiful. I'm also going to sticky note that one, because that was absolutely beautiful. All right, guys. So upcoming on our next talk is Kelly Carius with Delete Conflict from Your Life. Is it possible? Ooh, I feel like you and Kelly should have a conversation. That would be a really good match. I also like matching people with good JV partners. So that would be a really good match. And she is up next. Thank you again so much, Linda. You are amazing. I think that your way of looking at parenting is phenomenal. I know that I've already taken so much out of just what you had to offer today. Thank you so much for being here with us. And for everyone watching, we are heading out, and we will see you at the next talk.
Wow, that was an amazing guest. Join us again at the half hour for our next exciting guest lineup. Who will you choose to watch live? And if you want to hear them all, don't forget to grab your VIP upgrade ticket to get replays of all our amazing speakers and a whole host of bonuses. See you soon.